Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the AJ Network. It is Wednesday, May 31st, final day of the month. We're happy to be back in studio. Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman and our director, Eric Gendron. And, I want to start with, obviously, we have our Athlete of the Week winners that we're going to announce for Week 6. We've got baseball highlights as our championship week came to a conclusion on Friday night. State tournament updates, a lot going on as we are just days away now from the end of what has been a very, very fun year in FCX sports, Kevin.
Well, how about that game Friday night, FCX baseball championship game between Ridgefield and Wilton. These two teams met in the basketball championship game in the winter. It's only fitting that we end the spring season and the 2017 FCX season with these two teams meeting again in the championship game. And it really did get interesting in that last inning where Ridgefield had the last licks, but Drew Connolly out in center field finally was able to beat the Ridgefield Tigers. He breathed a sigh of relief, Frank, because we saw him after the game. He was just thrilled that he was able to bring home a championship again, not only for baseball, but to do it against Ridgefield after that tough, gut-wrenching loss in basketball.
It was certainly one of the better games we have seen this year. The FCX baseball season from start to finish, so competitive, and it did only seem fitting, Eric, that Wilton was able to get revenge and take home the baseball title.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a fantastic pitching performance on both sides. I think we all kind of had a feeling that this was going to be a nice pitcher's duel, and Billy Black and Colin Lowe just really brought it, and didn't really see a whole lot of hitting. 2-run score on wild pitches. Another one on an RBI ground out. That's all the offense he had in the entire game. So that kind of just shows you how dominant the pitching was in that game. Billy Black, man, 10 strikeouts. It's not easy to get a 10 strikeout game at any level, and that was an incredible performance and putting the exclamation point on it by striking out the final batter. And Wilton brings home their second baseball championship in 3 years after a very long drought. So it's been quite a ride for the Warriors in the last few years here.
It certainly has, and we'll have more on that game in a minute. But first, we want to congratulate Hannah Errico of the St. Joseph softball team, who had 2 hits, driving in 2 runs, and in on 7 outs from her second base position in the Cadets' 11-0 quarterfinal win over the Trumbull Eagles. Errico posted those 2 hits, including the 100th of her career, as well earlier in the week in a 17-6 win over the Staples Wreckers. She is our female athlete of the week. Your male athlete of the week was Tony Sosai of Trumbull Baseball. Sosai drove in all 3 runs for the 8th-seeded Eagles in their 3-2 quarterfinal win over number 1 West Hill. He had a 2-run homer in the second inning, an RBI double in the 4th, and earlier that week he also had an RBI triple against Danbury. And we talk about Trumbull, and now this is a good place to segue, as congrats to Tony and Hannah again, but Trumbull kind of, I think, exposed Ridgefield for what their vulnerabilities were going to be in that championship game. They had a little bit of life early. They took advantage of some costly mistakes, but as dominant as they were defensively all year, as dominantly as they were pitching all year, ultimately I think the Tigers' just inability to string hits together down the stretch was the difference when it came to facing a top-level pitcher in the FCX.
I think the Tigers were so good, hitting especially in the later part of games and getting those timely hits. And that just comes to show, again, like Eric mentioned, how dominant Billy Black was for the Wilton Warriors. I mean, to silence those Ridgefield Tiger bats, it was extremely impressive. But Trumbull, it's that game, too, in the semifinals. Ben Farrell, that start doesn't go unnoticed because he pitched a great game. He just ran into a little bit of trouble towards the end of the game. Maybe it was a little bit of fatigue, leaving some hangers over the plate, leaving some fastballs a little too much over the strike zone. And, the Ridgefield Tigers, again, John Thrasher is someone that comes to mind where he was really getting the bat going. But Trumbull Eagles, again, I think this is a team that could really, they can forget about the FCX playoffs and move on and look forward to the state playoffs, because I think this is a team that could really do some damage.
Eric, I wanted to get your thoughts as well. Colin Cahal was named the tournament MVP. Do you agree with Cahal's overall performance in all 3 games getting the nod, or do you think this trophy is Billy Black was the best player in the championship, he gets the award?
It's a tough call, but I lean Billy Black. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a tournament MVP, and Cahal really was there pretty much at every key juncture offensively. But, I mean, you see him in Game 1 in the quarterfinals, and then that dominant performance in the championship. It's really hard to argue against that. I was a little surprised. Colin Cahal, absolutely deserving. Great kid, and also played some great defense there at second base. He made some fantastic plays throughout the tournament. I definitely, but I lean towards Black. I mean, they're not in that position in the championship game if not for that dominant performance. I do think, props to Colin for getting named the tournament MVP, but I really think that should have gone to Black.
And it's a great argument to make, and I'm actually in the position I lean Cahal, and it was because of the defensive play. The hitting was unmatched throughout the tournament. He was there in timely spots, in big spots, all 3 games for the Warriors, but defensively, there was a lot of action at that second base position, Kevin, and Cahal was so strong, so consistent, and made huge plays that avoided teams being able to get back into games against the Warriors.
You're right. Defensively, Colin Cahal is extremely strong in there. And you look at him, he's so important in that 2 spot in the batting order. And you look at that game against Darien, getting off to that huge start. You had that big inning first hit, going 3 for 3, a big performance in the semifinals, and coming up again in the finals. And like Eric said, it's making some great plays in the field. But I got to give it to Billy Black. This is a Ridgefield team coming in, hitting on fire. I mean, this is a great team coming in. They were red hot. And for Billy Black to put on that performance and pitch a complete game, and how about that? He strikes out Colin Lowe, who he was going up against on the mound for the Ridgefield Tigers. I mean, what a performance. And you have to remember, Ridgefield had a runner at third base. They were 90 feet away from tying that game up.
It was a lot of fun. Both pitchers finished with 10 strikeouts, allowing 1 earned run. 1 walk for Billy Black. Colin Lowe did not walk a Wilton batter in this game. Let's look at the highlights from Friday night's FCX Championship. Wilton 2, Ridgefield 1. We are back on the HAN Network with our coverage of the 2017 FCX postseason, the baseball championship at the ballpark at Harbor Yard as the Wilton Warriors take to the field. As this one squirts by Donano, and coming home to score is Columbia.
I'm going to rule that a wild pitch there. It gets by Donano.
As Phillips on the move, and Judelson fouls one off. No, they're going to say he missed it. It's a pass ball coming home to score.
Did we just see that a second ago on the Ridgefield side? This time over on Wilton's.
Heads up by Dooley. Now 1-2. Tigers were in a similar situation in the semis, and it was Matt Collin with the big stab at Shore and the fire out at home. As another grounder to the left side, it's slow enough that it'll score the run.
And credit Cahal, he'll get the RBI. That's a big, big run for the Wilton Warriors.
Black set on the mound. From the stretch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. For the second time in 3 years, the Warriors are the kings of FCX baseball.
And it's all due to Billy Black. What a pitcher's performance we saw today. You see the pile on the mound, great tradition. And how about Drew Connolly? How excited is he? You see Billy Black showing his emotion there as he hugs his teammates. What a scene here at at Harbor Yard here for Wilton. And look at these fans.
A complete game 2 hitter. And he struck out 10 as Wilton has won the FCX championship. So that was the way it plays out on Friday night. Ridgefield had their second hit of the game in the 7th inning. I think before that they had gone, was it 4 innings, Eric, where Billy Black held them hitless and struck out 6 batters in that time?
Yeah, it was an incredible stretch. I mean, they were able to just mow them down for that stretch, and you had a feeling there would be a little bit of drama in that final inning. I mean, we've seen it for 3 straight years now in that championship game, but not quite as dramatic as the last 2 years. But, nevertheless, some drama in that final inning.
No extra innings in this game, but this is quickly becoming one of the most tightly contested tournaments, as for the 3rd year in a row, it is a 1-run difference to determine the champion, Kevin.
You got to give both starting pitchers a lot of credit. I mean, they were going 1-2-3, 1-2-3 during those middle parts of the innings, and then, of course, Richfield made it a little interesting there in the top of the 7th. And speaking to Drew Connolly after the game, once he saw that double go over the head in right field, in between the right field gap, he just put his head down and couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was thinking, not again. Richfield's going to come back and get us again. But, Billy Black just bared down, did what he had to do, forget about the runner in scoring position, took care of Colin Lowe, and you saw that dog pile. I mean, those Wilton boys well-deserving to get that title.
And it was good to see Henry Stremecki after the game able to laugh it off as we got down there and asked him, dude, that ball came at you. Did you ever see it? He said it was the perfect combination of the sunset and the lights being on at the stadium. It went up in the air. He had no idea what was going on. But it was an awesome season for Wilton. And, Eric, we said if Billy Black got to the mound for this championship game and had a lot of that 2015 feel where he'd need a JT Morin-type performance, and he delivered to give Wilton their 2nd championship in 30 years.
Yeah, not quite as epic as Morin's 146
pit.
Yeah, it was that was a ridiculous amount of pitches. He was a little more economical in his domination, but yeah, no, I think we all knew that if it came down to Billy Black, the Wilton Warriors were probably going to come away with this one.
Well, congrats to the Warriors. It was a lot of fun. They will have a big one coming up this afternoon in the state tournament. We're going to have more on that and all the state action going on coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Part of banking well is doing good. That's why, with the support of local community partners, Bankwell has launched the Bankwell Pet Adoption Project to boost awareness about the hundreds of animals in local shelters that need a home. And when you donate to the cause using the Bankwell self-service coin machines, we'll match your donation. For details, visit mybankwell.com/pleaseadoptme. Bank smart, bank local, bank well.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday, now at 3 locations: 131 Kings Highway North in Westport, the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
At the Milford Bank, we offer an extensive selection of lending products and services to meet virtually any need. Submit your application online in our Mortgage Web Center. Start to finish, you can apply for a loan in as little as 10 minutes. Our knowledgeable and helpful staff are available to meet with you at your convenience. To learn more about what we can do for you, stop by one of our Milford Bank offices or visit us at milfordbank.com. The Milford Bank, always there. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When it comes to considering the outside of your home, just imagine the possibilities. Whether your dream is a stunning freeform pool or a tranquil, secluded garden, the team of professionals at Stonebridge Associates will make it a reality. We offer unparalleled landscape design and construction, masonry development, pools, spas, and water features, as well as landscape and garden maintenance. No other firm can offer the same level of creativity, quality, and personal attention. Discover the possibilities at stonebridgeassociates.net or call 203-544-8376 today.
Pizza to satisfy even the most demanding critics. Tuesday Pazza Pizza.
At In Sports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Sign-ups are now open for one of our most popular programs, the New England 80 Elite Lacrosse Division I and Division III showcases. With D1 and D3 coaches in attendance, players will receive a 60-minute webinar with Director of Recruiting Hans Hansen, a custom NE80 penny, custom shorts, and a video of all games. Last year's event sold out quickly, so sign up now for the next showcase coming in January 2018. Like and follow us on Facebook.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We are back on the HAN Network. We're going to take a look at the state tournaments that are underway. Let's stay with baseball for the moment. We'll stick with Class LL and some FCAC teams with some big wins. Kev, you were a big fan of Fairfield Ludlow's win, though. 6-5 over New Britain out of that 25 seed.
That's a big win for the 25 seed of Fairfield Ludlow to come up with a 6-5 win. They'll take on number 9 Southington, who's not going to be another easy matchup for Fairfield Ludlow, but hopefully we'll see the Falcons maybe use that momentum into this second round here and see if they can push themselves even further in the playoffs.
I thought Danbury with a 7-3 win over Darien was impressive. You had Ridgefield advancing on 1-0 over Simsbury. West Hill's rolling now. Eric, is West Hill the best bet for the FCAC to break through for a state title?
I got to think, it was unfortunate West Hill had the hiccup when they did in the FCAC championship, and they pounded Pomperaug 14-1. That offense has been so impressive all year. A lot of home runs hit by that team. Now they take on Kennard. I think West Hill is in good position to at least get to a quarterfinal, and then we have an all FCAC quarterfinal with them taking on the winner of Wilton Staples.
And that's a big game as well today. Wilton and Staples in the 6-11 matchup. It's funny because we talk so often that there's more prize in winning the conference than there is in state, specifically in baseball. But the FCAC, they're really just stuck in a tough position now where they are beating each other up in this year's tournament. I mean, if Ridgefield can advance to the semifinals, they're potentially then going to have to play against either Wilton, Staples, or West Hill. And while you've got 6 teams that advance to the second round, they're all on the wrong side of the bracket where they're going to be picking each other off here.
It is, and you look at right now, Ridgefield will play the winner of Manchester Enfield if they can get by number 10 Naugatuck. And then you're right, they can get West Hill, they can get Wilton or Staples. And today's match between Wilton and Staples is really going to be an intriguing matchup between two FCAC teams. And you're right, they're going to beat each other up today, and it's going to be a dogfight between these two teams.
Eric, you asked the best question of the day, and I'm going to let you try to answer it yourself. Is anyone going to beat Amity?
That's been the question for the last 4 or 5 years, hasn't it? They're not quite as invincible looking as last year. That team last year was just absolutely unstoppable. It's probably not going to come from their side of the bracket. I mean, maybe Fairfield Prep down the line, New Milford, if they can get by Dan. I mean, that's Danbury could be scrappy, but I really don't see anyone slowing down Amity until that championship game. And maybe it'll come down to an FCAC team again. Last year they were in there against Staples, I believe, but Staples came up short. Amity has just been such an incredible baseball program, and it's going to be tough to stop them. But I don't think it's going to happen until at least the championship game.
It was Fairfield Ward.
Excuse me. Yes, that's right. Frank Granito's home run.
Very, very close.
Yep.
Let me throw a counter argument out there. The team with the best chance to win a state tournament right now in baseball, New Canaan and Class L, purely because the number 6, the number 3, and the number 5 and number 1 team all lost in the first round. You have got a lot of low seeds out there in potential play now. New Canaan draws Fitch, who beat Wilcox Tech in the first round. And then they will take on the winner of New Fairfield and Bethel should they hold on today. And they get this game at home now.
Interesting. New Canaan's sitting at 14 right now, and you can make the argument. That's a fair point. You could say New Canaan is a team that if they can, get red hot here in the tournament, they can find themselves into that championship game. But East Lyme is a team right now sitting at 1. They lost in that first round to 8-4. You're right. They're a lot of these top teams are knocked out. So New Canaan really does have a good shot. You got Guilford, Wethersfield, Stratford, Brantford. These are some good teams. Massac, of course, sitting at 2. So New Canaan, while the top team is out, they certainly have a great shot.
I completely agree with you, Frank. I mean, I think the path is pretty clear to at least the semifinals for New Canaan now. I mean, extremely favorable matchup against Fitch, and 2 teams I think they match up really well against in Bethel and New Fairfield in that other game. I think if they just play their game, New Canaan could very well be back in Middletown for that championship.
That would be very, very interesting. Let's switch gears here. We'll jump over, take a look at boys lacrosse. Class L, we got big games coming up this afternoon, and Darien. Is there any way Darien loses? Let me just stop for a second, actually, and repeat, go back, because I'm still in complete awe as to what we saw on Thursday night. They won a championship game by 16 goals, and I mean, it was ridiculous, and it's just so much fun to watch too. It happens so fast, it's crazy.
It's just pure domination, and I'm totally loving what I'm seeing from Kevin Lindley and Logan McGovern. The 2 of them alone, you can just put them 2 on the field, and I still think they'll win a game because the 2 of them are just absolutely filthy out there. I mean, they're scoring goals. You talk about Finley Collins adding a little trick shot in there as well, a nice little highlight reel goal. The team is just dominant, and Cornell is playing great goalie right now with this defense. How about Arden Cohen taking home the MVP? This defense is playing lights out. This is a Darien team that, plain and simple, cannot be stopped right now.
Eric, you've been covering Darien lacrosse since when?
2010.
Okay, since 2010. They have won a state championship 5 out of the 7 years, 4 out of the 6 so far, looking for a 5th and 7th. And this is still somehow so much better than everything we've seen coming to this point. And every year we say there's no way it can get better than this.
I don't know how they do it. Specifically, this team has just been incredible in you give them the smallest inch, a millimeter, and they pound 3 goals in. It's incredible. We've seen, how many times have we seen a team finally break through and they score and they're like, all right, finally we scored 3 goals. What happened? Where did it come from?
Ridgefield, I think, cut the lead to 3-1 in the championship at one point in time. It took 6 seconds for Darien to score again. Literally 6 seconds off a face-off. They outscored the semifinalists in the semifinals in the championship. They outscored Wilton and Ridgefield 14-0 in the 3rd quarter. They outscored the opponents in the tournament by 40-plus goals.
The 3rd quarter is where they have been incredibly dangerous. It's truly staggering. I mean, almost Belichickian in their second half adjustments that they make, and the little adjustments that they have to make.
Bray Myrian.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Exactly.
I would love to know. We talked about this on the broadcast on Thursday. I want to know what Coach Braymeyer says during halftime. Because all throughout the season, you see Darien, they play well in the first half, but then the second half, they take it to another level. I mean, you talk about outscoring their opponents, especially in that 3rd quarter like we talked about. I just would love to know if there's a certain message that he points across, because another level comes out of Darien when they come out of that halftime locker room.
Listen, it's to my point. I'm saying, I don't think there is any way Darien loses to number 17 Connor today. And it's purely because at some point in time they're going to lose. This is not the group right now that's going to get caught sleeping against such an inferior opponent. I expect on Saturday afternoon we're going to be at Darien High, and we'll see the Wave hosting the winner of Greenwich and Staples. We're going to have more on that shortly, but let's look down here at some of the other teams still playing. Ridgefield and Newtown. Eric, how did the Tigers bounce back in this first round game?
Very well, I think. I think this is, Newtown is definitely a very good state power, but this is a team that Ridgefield matches really well against with their physicality And I really don't see Ridgefield having any problem taking down Newtown and moving on. But let's look down to the next one. Glastonbury taking on McMahon. How about McMahon winning their play-in game? That's a program I think is due for a nice bounce-back year after they got pretty far back in the early 2010s. I think that program is in line for a nice little bounce back in the next couple of years here.
7-6, they beat number 12 Shelton in the playdown game. I think this is the start of something, Eric. As you're saying, that could potentially pole vault this team into that 8th spot in the conference tournament. Maybe they find themselves playing in the FCX next year. They need to play a near-perfect game against Glastonbury to knock off the Indians, but this is a huge win for the McMahon program. Down on the bottom of the bracket, Kev, Trumbull, number 10, gets 7 Cheshire. Wilton, number 6, gets 11 Xavier. Who do you like more out of those, or do you possibly see both these teams winning?
I could see both teams winning. I think Trumbull needs a bounce back here, and I think they will get a bounce back against number 7 Cheshire. This is a tough matchup for them, but this is a pretty strong Trumbull team that's very young. And I think I like the way they played last time we saw them. This is a team that could really win this first-round game, but I think Wilton has a little bit of a better chance here against Xavier. Xavier, another tough opponent for Wilton, but this is another Wilton team like we talked about. Connor Drake, I mean, this guy is so talented, and I think this is a Wilton team that could really make a push here in that lower part of the bracket.
Again, Eric, we look over and we're in Class M now. This is a little different. I think New Canaan expects every year to win this tournament. They're just a superior program compared to these size schools. But are there more factors at play here that the Rams are at risk to get knocked off before that championship game?
No. No, I'm sorry, but just I know New Canaan has shown a lot of cracks in their team this year, and this is not a New Canaan boys lacrosse team that is up to snuff with some of the other FCAC teams. But I'm sorry, until someone shows me from the rest of the state that they can compete with the FCAC, anybody in the FCAC is going to take down anyone in the rest of the state right now, especially if you're in the higher half of the bracket. I think New Canaan, this is New Canaan's tournament to lose in M with no Darien in sight, with no other FCAC teams in sight. This is New Canaan's tournament to lose.
No Richfield in sight too. Yeah, just add that.
such a clown. Oh my God.
I had to throw it in there.
Listen, for me, this is what it comes down to. They'll have had, 9 days off? A week off since their last...
Pretty much a week, yeah.
I think it's 9 days if you go back to the previous Saturday since they last played. That is a very disappointing loss. This entire season can be viewed as an underachievement now. I worry there might be a lot of doubt and just uninterest creeping into the minds of the Rams right now, and they are almost ready to overlook, kind of packing in, not appreciate what the task at hand is moving forward into this tournament. I don't know that I'm 100% sold they're going to run through this class the way they have in the past.
Well, I agree with Eric. I think this is their tournament to lose, but I just can't see the senior class going out and overlooking this tournament. I think someone like Ryan O'Connell will use this, motivation that, I still feel like they're a little ticked off that they got knocked out in that FCAC playoff. And I think they want to use that as motivation. You give them a week off now, rest up a little bit. This is a New Canaan team that really can easily get into that championship game, and I just can't see the senior class packing it in. I still think this is a senior class that wants to go out on a high note.
You make a fair point there, Frank, actually, now I'm thinking about it. I mean, as I just said, no other FCAC teams in this tournament. Maybe that does creep in. Maybe, we don't have to play any FCAC teams. It's not a bad point to make considering the history of this team this year.
Listen, I'm just like, do they get that? Just uninterest, don't care. Also, are they going to be able to clear the ball into the box at some point in time in this tournament? So but we can address that later on as the tournament continues. Let's take one more break here, boys. When we get back, we'll look at the girls lacrosse tournament going on. We've got softball as well, and a preview of today's boys lacrosse game, Staples in Greenwich, from Cardinal Stadium at 4:30, only on the HAN Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the Drive and Discover event. Now through May 31st.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
You don't have to go far for authentic Neapolitan cuisine and renowned wood-fire pizza. Pizzeria Loretano of Bethel is a contemporary Italian bistro, specializing in authentic wood-fired brick oven pizza Napolitana. Pizzeria Loretano was named one of America's top 1,000 Italian restaurants in 2008 by Zagat, and recommended by Jane and Michael Stern on National Public Radio's Splendid Table. Located close to the Bethel Cinema, we focus on quality, and our food is always made to order. Join us for live jazz Sundays from 6 to 8. Find our schedule, menu, and more at pizzerialoretano.com and like us on Facebook.
The new fishing season is fast approaching, so it's time to head over to the dock shop and get your gear in order. We're now offering bait in both Darien and our Westport location. The dock shop can service and repair your rods and reels, spool up new line, and fill any empty space you might have in your tackle box. Whether you're a fisherman, boater, or beach bum, the dock shop is a unique place to shop. The dock shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
Spring has sprung at Walter Stewart's Market, and we're celebrating the new season with fresh takes on spring. From the finest produce around to guaranteed fresh seafood delivered daily by the best local supplier. Not only are we your time-saving one-stop shop for everything you need this season, our personable team is always ready with a helping hand. Shop Stewart's for the best of spring. Find us at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
La France de Chartrenet, c'est la France de tous les Français.
I can't believe it.
Well, Dad, you did it. You sold 160 cars. Ready to go back upstairs now?
I think it's time. I wonder how the boys are making out in their new office.
Not what I had in mind, Kyle. What, Dad?
Maybe we should retire. Right now, lease a 2017 Rogue S for only $139 a month. Isn't it time you got Millerized?
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
We're back on the HAN network with Nutmeg Sports' Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman, and Eric Gendron as we turn our attention to the girls lacrosse bracket. And the first question, guys, we talked about it last week. We thought we were going to see 4 FCIAC teams in the semifinals. There are 5 teams remaining in the hunt still, 2 of them playing against each other, Greenwich and Staples. Do we still feel there are 4 teams heading that way, Eric?
Certainly looking that way. You got Cheshire at 3 and Wilton 11. That's an interesting, intriguing matchup. Wilton hasn't quite been at the level they've been at the last few years. That could be the one dent in things, but I fully expect to see a New Canaan Darien semifinal and either Greenwich and Staples. Obviously, Greenwich and Staples will definitely represent the FCIAC in the semifinal there. So I'd say the one possible chink in the armor there could be Cheshire and Wilton.
And that's a huge win for Staples, beating Ridgefield 13-12. I like the Cardinals in this one. I think they're breathing a sigh of relief, Kevin, that the Wreckers were able to knock off the Tigers.
They are, especially after that tough loss in the FCX to the Richfield Tigers. Greenwich Cardinals have a great shot now, but Staples is not going to be an easy opponent for the Cardinals. I think this is going to be a good matchup between both sides, but Greenwich will come away with the victory. And, I guess we're hoping, I think New Canaan's definitely hoping to get another crack at Darien in that semifinal game, but it's not going to be easy going up against Newtown.
The big game is this afternoon, though. We've got our first round CIAC Class L boys lacrosse coverage coming up at 4:30 from Greenwich High. Number 8 Greenwich hosting number 9 Staples. Eric, one key to victory today for either side.
This is going to be a tight game. I mean, we've seen these two teams battle it out before. It's going to be so tight. It's going to be face-offs again, Bailey Sevilla. And that matchup at the draw circle is going to be huge. The last time these two teams faced off, that was really one of the keys, and I think it's going to be the big facet of this game again.
Kevin.
I think it's going to be Triscari in net, and like Eric said, Bailey Sevilla in net. But JT Lawrence, I thought he played a great game. Feta played great against the Tigers in the semifinals. This is a Greenwich team I think is going to bounce back, but this is not an easy Staples team. Look out for Blake Runkle, a defender for the Staples Wreckers, and of course Tanner Wood, who's been an offensive threat for the Wreckers all season long.
And you talk about Blake Runkle a little bit, Kevin, but for me, I think you've got to look to how do Runkle and Billy Hutchinson match up against Jack Feta? The young man was so hot through the FCX tournament. I think that matchup right there will prove to be the difference. If the Wreckers can contain Feta, that limits the offense enough that the Cardinals are in big trouble. Either way, we've got that face-off for you at 4:30. It's going to be a lot of fun from Cardinal Stadium. For Eric Gendron, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you back at Fairchild Wheeler tomorrow. We have got the FCX Golf Championship, home of FCX Sports, the HAN Network.